and a transformational therapist who worked with people to heal themselves after the trauma of being arrested or accused or incarcerated. I came along a couple years later, 2010, and I was in the world of white privilege. I was teaching human potential movements. I was teaching peak performance to corporate business type people and entrepreneurs and even teenagers who wanted to change their future, and I was working on the core values and the mission statements and body, mind, spirit, and how to help people become better human beings. And I walked into the room that she was holding a meeting in, thinking, because I had been told by another friend that I was going to a re-entry coalition meeting, but because I had blinders over my eyes, he told me he was a corporate recruiter, one of those Fortune 500 headhunters who are looking for high-end executives. And he said, you know, the world has gone through this huge shift in 2008 with the economic upheaval. How many of you lived through that experience where suddenly the middle-class world changed? So he invited me to this annual meeting, and I thought it was about taking my movie to a marketplace that would buy it, and I would become this hero and be able to sell a lot of movies. And I walked in, and Irene opened the door, and I said, what in the world are you doing here? I wasn't quite so nice, but that's what I said when I looked at her, and she said, I'm the founder of the coalition. What are you doing here? And I clearly have no idea. Because Irene was always pulling people out of the ditch. She was always helping the homeless. She was helping the people who had AIDS. She was helping the people who had been incarcerated. She was helping the miserable people who I didn't know. I wasn't affiliated with them. I had no one in the criminal justice system. I had no one who was homeless. I managed to divorce effectively my blood family who were living in other states. So I knew nothing about it, and I knew nothing about mass incarceration. Well, in the next 7 years, I found out that mass incarceration is created by the jail industrial complex. I found out that noble cause corruption is pandemic across our entire system, our political, our social justice, our law and justice system. It is so embedded in our systems that we can't even see where to start, and people are scared to death to have a conversation about it. The Restorative Community Coalition has become a coalition that is working with 5 different clients. We work with those people who have been arrested or accused, whether they are guilty or not. And we are working with the inmates who have been arrested, incarcerated, and 5 and 10 or 20 years later come out like Rip Van Winkle and find out that the world has changed dramatically and that they have no identity except the prejudiced, condemned, and judged. They have no referrals, they have no contacts, they have no income, they have no ID in the state of Washington. They have no nothing, and they have to start over. That's one of our clients. The second side of our clients are the family members of those people who too have gone and become the victims of a social and political and economic system that judges them and condemns them and has thrown them into a third world reality, trying to accommodate and adapt to a world that sort of went sideways on them, that they didn't even cause. The third client are the victims of the community, the people who are in the peripheral, who never get talked about, the actual victim of an accident or the actual victim of something, some anger episode that showed up. And the community and the neighborhood gets traumatized, and everybody's running around trying to figure out what the heck do we do to fix it. And there's no restorative justice. The fourth set of clients are the taxpayers, the one who pay the bills for all the bureaucrats and all the institutions and all the private businesses that are making millions and millions of dollars on the backs of one arrested person. Do you know that it costs in Washington State $51,775 to arrest and to incarcerate a person for 1 year? That's a lot of money. And as a businesswoman, what I did is I looked at the opposite side of that money engine. Sure, that's what it costs, but you know what that means? That means that a bunch of people are making money, $51,775 are making money on an arrest. And that arrest, that money ripples, quadruples, it expands out into the community to the point that one arrest is worth hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars to a system that is perpetuating punishment, whether or not the person arrested or accused is guilty or not, and whether or not the ripple effect is that that's going to last with them forever. So it became like, for me, I just went, whew, this is not what I bought into when I went to that meeting thinking I was going to help very wealthy and powerful, white, privileged, or just business people adjust to a changing economy. I found out that my entire perception of what we were doing with law and justice, social justice, and human justice, everything we're doing in this country, under the belief that we are protected by civil rights, under the belief that we are protected by our Constitution, is upside down. It is completely upside down, and it is being run by an economic system that is sideways. In the end, over the last 6 years, I've ended up having to run for public office in order to get the issue to come to the public. I've had to tear apart my entire industry, which is the free enterprise industry. I love business. Free enterprise and the right to become a human being and the right to fulfill yourself and to be able to be industrious. That's one of my most sacred values. And I've had to examine every single part of my social, political, and spiritual beliefs to uncover solutions. Because the problem is so big in America. We have political problems and we have social justice problems. We have so many problems in America, it's upside down. The jail industry is the marketing arm for the prison industrial complex, which is the marketing arm for the war complex, which is feeding the destruction of our earth. We are so upside down, we have to change it. So, make a long story short, our coalition had to develop a model for how do we actually fix it, because you can't go back in and incrementally, and that's one of the things that Bernie said, can't go back in and incrementally try to change it, which is what most of us do. We try to protect and deny and take care of and pretend that everything around us is okay. It's not, and we know it. We ended up writing, it took thousands of hours, hundreds of people, thousands of interviews. We have developed a model for conscious change. And it is a social intercept model. It's restorative economics. We published this report. We have them downstairs. We have limited time, and I'm probably about out. But our coalition, bottom line, we could use donations to help us help those people who have been bucked out of society by an accusation and by an incarceration. We need help. $5 can get them a bus pass, can get them connected, can get them $40, can help them get their ID back. $100 can help them buy some food or get some clothes so they can go get a job. $500, $1,500 has actually completely put people back on course when if they fail, they're worth $50,000 to a machine that's out of bounds. So we need your help on a personal level with individual contributions. But more than that, we also need board members and we need people who want to stand up to help us build what would be called the Restore Life Center. This is an education platform where we can teach and foster restorative justice practices that can change it. We also wish to provide housing for the hundreds of people who are affected every single year, thousands of people in Whatcom County, who need retraining, they need recovery. Brain trauma from incarceration is huge. The Adverse Childhood Experiences Study has absolutely proven that any kind of trauma can provide holes in the brain so that we don't quite function right. So we need brain trauma healing. We need all of the neurosciences, all these solutions that are out there. There are thousands of solutions. You know what? We created a misery, but humans are amazing. And our solutions, there are so many solutions. There's several hundred written in here. So we want this year to start in the fall a $1 million campaign to build the Restore Life Center. Following that, we will be fundraising to develop it, that's housing recovery and job education. Following that, we need another $1 million to build the sustainable farm, which is like a Job Corps retraining and skills facility. And then following that, we have the Reclaim business and others. So we could use your help. Thank you so much, and thank you to your congregation for all the amazing work that you guys are doing. I see many of you out in the political and social injustice world. You do awesome work. Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here.